Let me see. So I don't know what. I'm assuming these are filler arcs, filler story arcs. I don't know why this person threw them in here, but then again, I pressed on this clip. So we're gonna do story arcs of One Piece. Um, I'm pretty much a tough critic. I'm a tough evaluator and grader for the One Piece story arcs. However, I'm not. I don't stray that off from like the mainstream consensus. So let's, you know what? Let's give it a try. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna. Do I start via order, or do I make it more interesting and just casually just go across the board? You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna pick a random arc and then rate it. Let's start with Zhao. Pretty neat, very short, very concise. A lot of people seem to gas the ending of this arc. I thought it was just kind of like a unique arc, unique species, unique location, whatever you have it. And it kind of strayed away from like the, like the very monotone formulaic formula of the post time skip at that point. So I'm gonna give it a solid C tier. I don't think that's unfair. I think it's a pretty good arc, but nothing special. You feel me? Um, let's go. Let's go Alabasta. Now Alabasta is what I like to call the first of what ends up being a two-part series of like arcs that Oda likes to just rehash in the post time skip, and that was Dressrosa for Alabasta. Alabasta, when I first watched One Piece, it was a lot better than when I rewatched it. I'm not gonna hold you. There's a lot of stuff in the middle that's kind of like drags on. The fights were pretty cool. Mr. One versus Zoro was neat. Crocodile versus Luffy, all variations were neat. It's a good arc. I'm gonna give it a low B tier. If there was like a minus B minus, it would be there. But I don't want to complicate things. It's a good arc. It's pretty good. Matter of fact, let me do its volume 2 version, right? The successor to it, Dressrosa. I don't know if this is controversial. To me, Dressrosa is slightly better than Alabasta. Oh, there we go. Vivi, better princess. Crocodile, a better character to me than Doflamingo. I know a lot of people love Doflamingo, but to me, he seems a lot more Power Rangery than Crocodile. Crocodile, we didn't even get to his backstory. I'm assuming it's gonna come down the line, but he just seems a lot less forced, a lot less corny to me at least. Character design, they're both unreal, and most of the inhabitants of the islands pretty much a watch. They're like the same arcs, pretty good B tier arcs. Let's go. I'm gonna cover the Baroque work section, which is kind of like the build up to Dressrosa. I mean Alabasta, which all, in my opinion, was mixed bag. Let's start with Drum Island. It's gonna be pretty controversial. I'm not gonna lie. This is the first thing that's gonna get a lot of people pissed off. I thought this was a not very good. I can't. I'm sorry. Like Weevil was a horrible villain. This arc, unless you're really attached to the Chopper backstory and Chopper himself, you're not gonna get much out of it. And for me, I don't care for Chopper that much. So I wasn't that emotionally invested in this arc. I'm not gonna lie. I was just waiting for the next island. And unfortunately, the next two islands were like, where's the next two island? Whiskey Peak, brother. It was funny. Zoro versus Luffy was neat, but ultimately, I'm sorry, D tier. It's better than Drum Island, but come on. Well, what's the next one? It's all over the place. Little Garden. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't know how this is gonna come off, but this is an F tier, bro. This is possibly the worst sub arc in One Piece. It is so bland. I wasn't interested in one bit. Mister Three is the main villain for a 20 whatever how long this sub arc was. Yeah, I did not cut it, and the Giants did not care for all the subplots in this thing. Is just mid, but it's worse than mid to me. Now I have to put something in F, and there's only one other F, frankly. Am I missing another? Am I missing another? I don't know. I'm just gonna move on, bro, because this is gonna be a long video. You know what? I'm gonna skip the formulaic elements of just following it through. Let me just go with Longaringa Long Island. And I know this is gonna piss off a lot of people, but you know what Longaringa Long Island had that all those sub arcs didn't have from Alabasta? It made me laugh. It was short, funny, and it didn't take itself too seriously. And yes, it is canon, and it's pretty good, and it's a C tier. If you hate it, tough shit. Let's do Jaya. Didn't care for anything that happened in Jaya. Frankly, it could push F tier, but I'm gonna slide it in like the edge of F tier and D tier. Yeah, nothing. I didn't care for anything in this arc. I was just like, let's just get the Skype at this point because this is just not it. You know what I mean? Let me know what you think of Jaya because a lot of people seem to like it. I think it's horrible. Not horrible, but mediocre. Now it's looking a lot like I don't like One Piece, but this is just I feel like my head is just strictly like going to like the mid arcs. So let me just throw this off and go to an arc that I do like. Let me throw in Arlong Park. Arlong Park. I don't know if this is controversial. I think it's a B tier. Some people tend to put it high. It's better than Alabasta and Dressrosa, but it's compared to some of the other arcs in One Piece. Arlong is very short. It has some, obviously, the walk to Arlong Park, the whole Nami backstory. That's chef's kiss, but for the most part, it's pretty short. Nothing too grandiose happened in it. So it's a solid B. It's a good arc, and it has less issues than Dressrosa and Alabasta. But at the same time, it has less, epic moments than Dressrosa and Alabasta because of, runtime and everything. Let's see. Ooh. I don't know if this is going to be controversial. But Baratie is A tier. Here's what I think Baratie did that Arlong Park, not saying it didn't do. It's actually the gap between them is not that big, but I prefer Baratie because Baratie had moments in it that like trump anything in Arlong Park. I'm going to start off with the Mihawk versus Zoro fight. Are you kidding me? And I personally liked the Zeph and Sanji backstory just a tad bit more than the Nami backstory, even though they're both, tragic and some of the best work that Oda had in terms of like, character background and everything. But, Baratie, man, is, every moment in this arc. Also the island, the ship, everything about it was just beautiful. Baratie, till this day, people like reference it. It's one of like the hallmarks of One Piece. Let's do Syrup Village. That's another D tier. Did not care about anyone in this island except for the little kids. Usopp's backstory, not as traumatic as the rest of the Straw. Well, it is actually, but it's not as, I don't know. It wasn't as extensive as the other ones. I mean, this Zoro one hit me more, but for the most part, Kuro, weak villain. Most of the actions that happen in this arc were pretty weak, in my opinion. So I think it's fair to put it at D tier. I know this seems really harsh, but it's going to get better. Thriller Bark, it's going to be C tier. At one point, Thriller Bark was one of the best arcs for me because I really enjoyed the humor in it. But now rewatching it after like decades, because I started watching One Piece a long time ago. I'm an unk at this stage. But Thriller Bark, when I was younger, when I first was watching One Piece and everything was insane, I remember it being a lot funnier than when I rewatched it. And frankly, outside of the Zoro and whenever Kuma walked in, everything that happened during that period was obviously like S tier. But prior to that, I mean, Kuma is the wackest of the warlords. The fights weren't that particularly amazing. And the subplots weren't that interesting, to be honest. Until the final stretch with them fighting Oras wasn't that crazy. Logu Town, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw that at B tier. I know it's very short. It's like 5 episodes, half of it filler. I'm talking about the anime here. It's amazing. Amazing. Every single moment in Lockdown, except the weird filler with the guy that knew Usopp's dad and dueled against him. Every moment in this arc was super, super exciting. Like, this is like one of those moments where I was watching One Piece, like, oh my God, this is thrilling because, the whole thing with the barrel alone puts this in B tier, you know what I mean? Like, I know y'all agree with me. Let's do Fishman Island. I think this is going to be very controversial. If you asked me, the first time I watched One Piece, because I watched One Piece right around the 2011, 2012, so it was right after post-war stuff. This, following that high, put it in F tier. But rewatching it, I just think it has so many strong moments. I kind of want to put it, I'm going to put it in B tier. I'm going to put it in P tier because Fishman Island, Now that I rewatched it, has so many important, integral like parts of the story, and it does it well. Now, granted, there are weak parts in it. I mean, most of the villains, oh my God, the villains were horrible. Hody Jones is a joke. But the Fishman Tiger backstory, everything that's tied to like the main story, the lore was touched upon a lot in this arc. Luffy knocking down all those people with one shot. I mean, come on. I mean, Fishman Island to me is a little bit slept on. Not too slept on, but, a little bit slept on. There's Reverse Mountain. Nothing crazy. I'm going to put it in D tier, unfortunately. I mean, it could be C tier, but it's like 2 episodes. Let's do Reverie. That's a solid C. Honestly, anyone that thinks Reverie more than a solid C, I mean, it's just back screens, bro. People gas it too much for my liking. Nothing happened. I mean, things happen, but it's more like exposition, sorry. Let's do Whole Cake. Whole Cake Island, at some point when I first watched it, I'm going to throw this in D tier. But now rewatching it, I'm going to throw it in B tier. You know what I'm saying? Most of the One Piece story arcs are B tiers. Not going to hold you. Let me figure out something here, because it's looking like I think One Piece is like a B tier anime right now. Let me give you something that I think is generally A tier. I'm going to throw Water 7 in that A tier. Huh? You know what I mean? Why is it not S tier? Well, S tier is reserved for 3 arcs. Sorry to spoil it, but Water 7, it damn near came close. It came close. And Enies Lobby, where's Enies Lobby? Where is Enies Lobby? It's also A tier, but it's, I don't know, I like Water 7 more. I liked how everything went down and all the fights against the CP9 big shots, the moments, the second gear, the third gear, everything was immaculate. I Want to Live, come on. But I don't know, it's just Water 7. It's magical. Let's do Post Enies Lobby. I don't know if that's going to be controversial. That's a solid B tier. And frankly, I'm going to hold you. It's going to be right here. I mean, come on. 5-6 episodes. And the amount of stuff that was covered in those 6 episodes. Blackbeard versus Ace. Enough said. I think that counts part of this the Post Enies Lobby. Dragon's reveal. The Blackbeard fight. I mean, come on. It's just too much packed into a little bit. Ample Down. I'm going to throw this in S tier. Listen, Ample Down, very short. But in that, it was 20, 25 episodes? But the amount of stuff covered in it. The Blackbeard reintroduction. Magellan versus Luffy. Ivankov's introduction. I mean, now it's kind of sounding like an A tier. But, man, I rewatched it again. It holds up. Matter of fact, let me throw another S tier for you. And, frankly, a little bit better than Ample Down. You cannot tell me you can watch Sabaody Archipelago and not think it's either the best, second best, or third best sub-arc in the story. I mean, come on. It's the most action-packed arc in the entire story. By far. Every single moment in this arc was chef's kiss. Every single moment. I didn't even take a moment like, oh, this is like the dry part. No. It was straight action. Didn't take its foot off the gas. And the ending was insane. The introduction was insane. Everything was insane. Come on. Wano Kingdom. Now, I'm a huge critic of Wano Kingdom. However, I got to be honest. That's a B tier right there. That's a B tier. Come on. Even with its issues. It's such a giant arc. It's just kind of like Dressrosa, where the good outweighs the bad, but there are a lot of bad things in the arc. Amazon Lily, solid C. I mean, come on, it had some good moments. The Luffy and Bo Hancock stuff was pretty neat. I liked it. It's better than anything in D tier. Come on, let's be real. Return to Sabaody, that's a B. That's a B tier. I mean, some people would say C tier. Sorry, some people would say it's worthy of B tier. I liked it, but it was 2 episodes. You know what I mean? It's not as good as Post Enies Lobby, that's for sure. Now, I'm gonna This is gonna be the first big story arc that's gonna be in D and F tier, and I think people are gonna agree with me, even though it's kind of like a precursor to an arc. But Punk Hazard is abysmal. Punk Hazard, I would argue, almost killed the One Piece anime. It was so bad. 1-2 redeeming moments. If you take Virgo, the Virgo fight at the end, this thing is just abysmal. I don't know what Oda was thinking. He could have just scratched the whole thing and built it up some other way instead of wasting that damn near whole year on this arc. Post-war, I'm going to put this in B tier. It's a pretty good arc. Actually, you know what? Post-war? Yeah, B tier. B tier. I mean, it could be A tier, but... Nah, it's B tier. Skypiea, I want to put it in F tier. I'm sorry. I don't like Skypiea. I don't like it at all. Nothing in this arc moved me. Even the gag final fight was not impressive, bro. The island, I was not impressed with the lore at all. I was not intrigued, not even a single bit with the lore. The fights were boring. The final fight, for sure, I was not moved. I wasn't laughing. The whole gag thing. Enel is a cool villain, but is he good enough to like lift it up to C? It's not C tier. I could argue even F tier, but I'm just gonna drop it. Let's do Orange Town. D tier. I'm sorry. Like, it was whatever. Outside of like the dog story, nothing moved me there. Romance Dawn. It's 3 episodes, but it's so iconic. I have to throw it at the bottom of C. I'm gonna rearrange this in a minute, but you know what I mean. Let's do okay. So I guess there's only 2 left. Let me do Egghead. So this is gonna be the one I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on. I think Egghead is a C tier. If that's controversial to you, listen to me. I didn't think the payoff was that great. I did not like Vegapunk as a character. I didn't care for the island. And the final fight against Gorosei, the Gorosei were so underwhelming. Everything about this arc that's worthy of like S tier, A tier worth of that hype happened outside of the island. At least in my opinion. So frankly, I think it's a C tier. Pretty content with it being at C. I don't think I'm ever going to move it. Nothing in this arc felt better than any of these arcs, except maybe Wano. But I don't know. I liked Wano more than Egghead. Because, I don't know, maybe because the grand elements of Wano. And I like Kaido. I'm sorry. Even with his issues, Kaido is more interesting than the Gorosei and anything that happened there. The Kuma backstory is neat. It's pretty neat. Not good enough. Now, what did I leave till the end? I left the story arc that I hold as the best in the entirety of Shonen. I want to say this one last time. The best in the entirety of Shonen. Marineford is the best story arc, 20, 25, whatever episodes, in the entirety of Shonen. There's not a story arc in Shonen better than Marineford. Now, some people seem to think that Marineford is not the best story arc in One Piece. Some people think Enies Lobby is better. I don't see how you could think that. Marineford has, in my opinion, 2 of the most impactful, significant moments in all of Shonen. Ace's death, Whitebeard's death. Spoiler alert. I don't know why you want to spoil yourself all this, but Marineford is the pinnacle of Shonen story arcs. Nothing comes close. Not Chimera Ant, not the Dark Tournament, not the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, not the Pain Invasion. I don't know why you think the Pain Invasion is that good. Marineford is the best in Shonen. Show me an arc better. Not Namek. Nothing. It's the pinnacle of One Piece. It's when One Piece was at its peak, if I'm not mistaken, in sales. It was selling like 10 million manga copies a year. Are you kidding me? I still don't think One Piece has reached those heights again, which is very concerning. Same thing with Kingdom. If you read Kingdom, you know there's a story arc in the middle of the story that has the same peak as Marineford. That's part of the reason why I was so underwhelmed with the post time skip stuff, because I thought, man, come on, bro. We reached such a high, and we just kind of feel like everything pre-Wano felt like the story was on such a downward spiral, even though it wasn't particularly bad. It's just that Marineford is such a high. How do you come back from Marineford and expect me to watch Fishman Island? I think that's why a lot of people disliked Fishman Island so much. It's because it came off Marineford. Let me know if you disagree, man. I've seen a lot of people that seem to think Enies Lobby was a better arc. I don't know how, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Yeah, so this whole, really the Summit War arc saga. Let's call this a saga. It's the best in all of shonen, best in all of anime. This is the peak. I don't know if the final arc of One Piece is gonna beat this. A lot of people seem to think so because of the stakes of the story, but come on, bro. It's not a given. So let me know. Let me know if you think the final arc, because Oda did mention that he thinks that he's building up to a final war that's gonna make Marineford look like nothing. I mean, when you consider the scale of the final arc and what everything is building up to, the One Piece, the King of the Pirates, everything, the history of the world, yeah, the stakes are much higher. But is it going to be better than Marineford? We'll see. And is Oda going to kill off characters? We'll see. So listen, man, that was it. I'm going to do another one now for another anime, but this was One Piece. Let me know what you think.